Hello everyone, welcome to Titan Sports, the show where we provide you with the latest news about Cal State Fullerton sports and beyond. I'm Colin Costigan.
Hey everyone, I'm Sergio Gonzalez.
What's up, Titan Sports fans? I'm Justin Rosette.
And I'm Jonathan Mansour. We have quite the lineup of stories today, so let's jump right into it.
Cal State Fullerton Track and Field traveled to UC Irvine this past weekend to compete in the annual Challenge Cup. The Titans men and women both finished the meet in third place. On the women's side, the team scored 151 points, just shy of UC Irvine's 163 and Long Beach State's 165.5. The women had several key performances that broke records in Fullerton's top 10 record book, including Brooklyn Davis's second place finish with an 11.75 in the 100-meter dash, and Carissa Martinez's fourth place high jump with a mark of 1.66, her best of the season to name a few. As for the men's team, they were able to score 135 points just behind UC Santa Barbara's 161.5 and Long Beach State, who scored 202 points. Luke Hitchcock solidified his name for the 800-meter in the Fullerton record book with a time of 1:49.36. Braden Bitter took first for men's shot put for the second week in a row with the season best throw of 17.97. Our Titans will be back on the road this weekend, heading to UCLA to compete in the Legends Meet in Westwood. All right, guys, so the track and field season is now underway. They have 2 meets under their belt. A few standouts for me so far. There's been multiple freshmen, actually, who have won their events. They've looked pretty solid throughout. What are your guys' standouts so far, and who are you liking so far?
This team is giving me lots of hope. I think we've been talking recently about teams who are underperforming or not doing as well, and our track team has been the standard at our school for the last couple of years of success. A couple of people I'll bring up first is Ian Dossman, who's a sophomore. Actually went to the same high school. That's close to our shout out 916. But he's first in the nation in the 200 meter at 20.65, first in the entire nation. And he's also second in the 100 meter with a 10.31. That is insane for one of our star players to be first in the nation, second in the nation. That's crazy. On the women's side, we also have Brooklyn Davis and Taylor Brunger, who are both top 10 in the 100 meter. So we have a superstar power all around, and altogether, it's giving me a lot of hope for the rest of our season.
I'm glad you mentioned Dossman. I actually got the chance to talk to him yesterday. You wouldn't know that he's like number 1 in the nation in the in the 200 meter dash. He was actually first in the 100 meter dash as of last week, but I believe it for sprinter from Long Beach just barely broke that mark. But he's so relaxed, he's so calm, and he doesn't seem to let the moment get to him. He is obviously appreciative of everything, but he was the manner in which he carried himself, he was just so reserved for being the best in the nation, which is just crazy to me, how he's able to keep that mindset and still do what he does on the track. But also, we mentioned Braden Bitter. You mentioned the freshman he threw a mark, that 17.97, that was meters. So that's almost 59 feet with the shot put. I can tell you when I did shot put in high school, a good mark for me was my very last throw. It was barely over 30 feet. So that's that might be kind of embarrassing, but for me, that's insane to see that a mark, it doesn't matter how big you are, just launching that 59 feet is insane to me. And then on the women's side, you mentioned Brooklyn. She had the 3 events where she got second in the 100-meter dash, third in the 200-meter dash, and her 4x100 relay team won with a time of 45.78. So I think all around in multiple events, both on the field and the track, we're seeing a lot of young talent.
Yeah, a lot of our athletes made their ways into the record books. You guys mentioned Hitchcock breaking a school record in the 800 meter. On the women's side, you had Jocelyn Alexander. She broke into 8th all time in the shot put at 13.24, and in the discus as well at 43.14 meters. And then you also had Kyla Wilkerson, all-time 6th spot in discus throw. So hopefully we can kind of carry this momentum into the next meet at UCLA.
Hopefully they excel at UCLA, as Jonathan said.
Over the weekend, the Titans softball team went 0-3 against the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos. In Game 1 of Saturday's doubleheader, the Gauchos loaded the bases after 3 walks in the top of the first inning before having 2 consecutive hits put them in front of the Titans 3-0. The Titans would then answer back with Eva Arce crushing a 2-run homer. Unfortunately, that wouldn't be enough, as the Gauchos added 3 more runs in the 6th and then 1 more in the 7th. As for the second game, the Titans once again faced trouble early on, but fought hard throughout the innings to ensure that they wouldn't fall too far behind. At the end of the 7th inning in particular, the game was tied at 9-9, thanks in part to a double in left field by Sarah Casillas. This wasn't enough, unfortunately, to hold off the Gauchos, as a double play in the bottom of the 8th would yield an 11-9 loss for the Titans. For the third and final game, Fullerton softball dropped their series finale 14-5 against the Gauchos. The Titans' overall record is now 16-12 and 3-3 in Big West play. The Titans softball team will resume conference play and travel to Cal Poly SLO to play against Cal Poly this weekend. Good luck, ladies. All right, well, unfortunately, it was a tough series against the Gauchos at home. I think the most alarming thing for me was pitching, as well as a lot of the hitting, but I want to hear from you guys first, just on your takes on that series.
I think pitching, especially as you mentioned, just a huge struggle this weekend. Like Garcia, Hurtado, McCleskey, all three of our names, they just all struggled. And I think a big issue was walks. Garcia had 15 of them in 8 innings, and that is just a big no-no, of course. I mean, when your walks are outweighing your strikeouts by double the amount, that's not good. And obviously the offense was there. RC stepped up, as you mentioned, but hopefully the pitching can at least balance things out next time around against Cal.
Yeah. Liana Garcia, you guys mentioned, you mentioned her walks. She had 3 walks in the first inning in Game 1, which led to UCSB getting up to an early lead. But I will say, though, I do think that there was a big error in the top of the 6th that kind of changed momentum. The game was tied, and then after that error, it kind of led to 3 runs in that inning for the Gauchos. And then you had Eva Hurtado. She kind of had a struggle. She struggled this weekend. McCleskey as well. I do think that this is kind of like, I don't expect this to continue. They've showed previously in the beginning of the season that they can pitch well. I think it was just a rough weekend in general. I do want to say, though, big shout out to Alexia Lopez, 7 for 10 on the weekend with 3 RBIs, and she won Big West Field Player of the Week.
Yeah, I think the thing for the softball team we've been mentioning, we know they have the best offense in the Big West. We know they can compete offensively, but it's been the pitching. How about this stat? Over the weekend, the softball team allowed 32 runs in this 3-game series. The next most runs that a Big West team has allowed in one series this year has been 25 so far. So 32 runs in 3 games, 7 the first game, 11, and then 14, which is, as you said, unacceptable for a team. Leandra Garcia had 13 earned runs this weekend. Hurtado had 6 earned runs, and McCleskey had 5 earned runs. So I think overall our pitching staff is still very young. Leandra Garcia is only a redshirt sophomore. Hurtado is a freshman, and McCleskey is also a redshirt sophomore. So I think the biggest thing is going to be time. By the end of the conference play, I'd hope that our pitching, our rotation is able to be solid, because it is going to be these 3, it looks like, until the end. So I think it'll take them some time, but as long as the offense stays solid, they should stay right around the top of the standings for the end of the season.
Yeah, and they did unfortunately drop to 6th in the Big West after that. And UC Santa Barbara is just behind them in a lot of offensive stats. But they are going to Cal Poly, like we mentioned. They happen to be last in the Big West, 0-6 in conference play. They have the worst batting average, the least amount of runs scored. They're last in RBIs, last in slugging percentage. They've grounded into the most double plays, and they have the worst on-base percentage in the Big West. And their pitching is 7th so far with an team ERA of 4.8. So this hopefully should be a recovery weekend for them, and we're going to wish them luck as they head into it. Hopefully, will be a successful road series.
After their loss to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, our Cal State Fullerton baseball team last Tuesday rebounded against USC with an amazing comeback, defeating them 11-6. What started out as a 4-0 deficit quickly turned as 6 runs in the 7th inning gave Fullerton the momentum they needed to pull out a win. Their games against UCSD, however, would prove more difficult as they would lose the first 2 games 9-7 and 9-5 before denying San Diego the sweep, winning Game 3 12-5. The opening game was a toss-up with Fullerton, overcoming a 3-run deficit to force extra innings. Unfortunately, UC San Diego was able to break the tie at the top of the 11th inning, scoring the game-winning 2-run double off of the wall in left field. Game 2 had the Titans fighting to overcome an early 5-0 lead set by San Diego. And while they were quickly able to cut the deficit and tie the game with 5 runs of their own, San Diego eventually pulled away and took the game as the Titans were unable to capitalize on key moments. The final game against UCSD is where the Titans would get the redemption. After a close score in the early innings of the game, Fullerton would take a commanding lead in the 6th inning, scoring 8 runs on 9 hits. Even with the 2 runs scored in the 9th inning, it was far too late for San Diego to make a comeback, and the Titans pulled out the win. Guys, it was a rough series against UC San Diego, but last night the Titans were able to bounce back, what did you guys see yesterday, or what did you guys see from UC San Diego that had you guys a little bit worried?
Yeah, I think to start out with the UC San Diego series, I think we see a lot of parallels with the softball team. Our offense is not as good, but top 5 in runs, hits, home runs, RBIs, and total bases in the Big West. But again, it's the pitching that continuously lets the team down. This past weekend against UC San Diego, the Titans scored 24 runs in the series, and UCSD scored 23. So they outscored UCSD in the series, but still were swept. I think the biggest thing overall, as we said with softball, is the pitching. It seems so far that Micah Negretti, Derek Turner, and Brady Dawkin have been the Game 1, Game 2, and Game 3 pitchers for both of our Big West series. And so far, they haven't gotten off to the best start. I think same as softball, they can just take some time. And it seems like they're going to be the 3 starters for the season. So we're going to have to get that under wraps. But I think so far, we've allowed 54 runs in conference play over 6 games. That's 9 runs per game. And CSUN is the only team worse, and they're the worst in the Big West in a lot of categories. So I think the pitching is going to have to be a lot better. But for yesterday's game, I want to give a shout out to Jason Blood, who came in with a 9-out save, yesterday, and he looked dominant, came out confident, and 5 strikeouts over those 9 outs. So big shout out to him. I think 2-game winning streak now. They're going to look to carry that momentum into this weekend.
Yeah, and I think for the UCSD series, at least UCSB series, what was concerning about that for the most part, obviously was the pitching. I mean, they gave up 17 walks in their 2 losses to UC San Diego, and they only had 1 walk in their win. And actually, in 5 of their total 7 wins this year, they've given up no more than 2 walks. So it has to start with command from pitching. And then if we're looking at the nation, it's a small improvement. I mentioned last week they were 276th in the nation. Entering last night's game, they're now 268th in the nation. Unfortunately, Harvard is still better than them. But, Ivy League players, I don't know why. I guess nerds can ball. But either way, they got to limit the walks. That's a really big concern. In the Big West this year, we're first in hits allowed, 232 hits. That has to change. They have the 3rd highest team ERA and their first in opponent batting average, or opponents are batting .315 against them. So, like you mentioned, the pitching has to get better, and that's really what happened last night. You mentioned Jason Blood. His ERA was lowered to 6.62 last night, and he's only given up 2 earned runs in his last 6 outings. That was after his ERA skyrocketed above 21 after his first 2 outings. So that was a great improvement. They had 6 total pitchers giving up 4 hits and 12 strikeouts. So that's really remarkable. So even when the offense kind of had a slow night, they took advantage of some poor defense to score most of their runs. It was really the pitching that got them through. So I think pitching has to be able to back up the hitting.
Stuff like that is exactly what wins you ball games, of course. And I think especially looking back on Sunday's game against UCSD, they had 8 runs in the 6th inning. Yet since then, they have yet to look back. They have actually not allowed a run since then. And baseball is a big game of momentum. So you score 8 runs in that inning, you shut them out for the rest of the game. What does that translate to? A shutout victory on Tuesday, your second one of the season. And baseball, being that game, is exactly what the Titans need to just keep riding, keep rolling with that, and hopefully turn that into more wins this weekend.
I want to keep on with the praise for Jason Blood. He also, in those 3 innings, he had no hits allowed as well. And then just a nugget I found, pitching as a whole has allowed an ERA over 5 in 12 out of 20 games this year. The offense has scored 5 or more runs in 13 games, but our record is 7-13. So offense has been playing great, but pitching just has been struggling, unfortunately. Let's see if they can fix that up this weekend. After the break, we will be going over to Sergio for our big highlight of the day, where he will be giving us a detailed analysis of some of the most significant plays that occurred during Sunday's baseball game against UC San Diego. Stay tuned.
All right, guys, the Titans win on Sunday to avoid a sweep against UC San Diego came in thanks to a couple of big timely hits from the offense. Starting us off is freshman Carter Johnstone, who has been a key piece for the Titans at third base. Here he rips the liner to right field to put the Titans on the board, reading the fastball to perfection and cutting the early deficit. Johnstone finished the day going 3 for 5 at the plate, driving in 3 runs against the Titans on Sunday. The freshman currently holds a batting average of .306 with an OPS of .933. Skipping ahead to the 5th inning, a beautiful swing by Andrew Kirchner gave the Titans their first lead of the day, as the junior laced a 2-run double into the right center gap. Here he's able to read the changeup low and away with 2 strikes on him, making the necessary adjustment and reaching out with the barrel of the bat for a clutch 2-run knock. Kirchner continues to lead the Big West Conference with 31 total RBI, while also leading the team with 14 extra bases. The transfer from Golden West College has been an exceptional add to Coach Dietrich's squad so far this season. 1 inning later, junior Isaiah Gomez here jumps on the first pitch off speed, reaching out to find the hole between second and short to give the Titans a much-needed insurance run in the top of the 6th. The Titans would go on to hold the lead for the rest of the game and start a hitting party of their own. The junior college transfer is currently 4th on the team with a batting average of .323, though he has played in just 11 of the Titans' 20 games. Later in the inning, after a Johnstone 2-run double, Titans slugger Matthew Bardwell continued his absurd streak of 10 consecutive games with an RBI. This time, Bardwell roped the double down the left field line for yet another insurance run against the Titans, padding the lead to 8-3 in the bottom of the 6th. The Titans would keep the run-scoring party alive by scoring 4 more runs after Bardwell's knock, totaling 8 in the inning and leading the way for the Titans for the pitching to close out a smooth-sailing victory on Sunday. The win also translated into the Titans' second shutout victory of the season on Tuesday, defeating UNLV 4-0 at Goodwin Field. And that's all for our big highlight of the day. When we come back, we'll be tossing it over to Justin to get the inside scoop on women's water polo.
Cal State Fullerton's women's water polo team traveled to San Diego this past weekend to compete in the Aztec Invitational. Their first game was against Bucknell, where the Titans led the game early before falling behind late in the second quarter. Elise Bliss led the team with 4 points on 2 goals and 2 assists against the Bisons, but that wasn't enough for the Titans to secure a victory. They ultimately suffered a narrow loss, 9-10, after a hard-fought battle. Our Titans then went up against the Indiana Hoosiers, where scores by Destiny Hernandez, Emmy Dube-McLeod, and Delaney Latham gave the Titans a solid lead in the first quarter. Though the tides would change in the subsequent quarters, as a scoring run by the Hoosiers and a scoring drought on the Titans' end would result in a 5-point deficit at the end of the third quarter. The Hoosiers outscored the Titans again in the final quarter, ending the game with 13 points, leaving Fullerton with 7. This coming weekend, the Titans will host the Titan Mini Invitational at the Fullerton College Pool, not Cal State Fullerton's Titans Aquatic Center, where they will compete against Macalester College and Concordia University Irvine. So bringing it back now, I want to open it up to you guys, and Jonathan, I'll come to you first here. What are your thoughts so far with the women's water polo season?
I mean, it's rough. Every team in this Big West Conference is nationally ranked. That is very tough to navigate against in a schedule. And we're currently on a 6-game losing streak. I look at Destiny Hernandez, 36 goals and 19 assists, had 2 games against the Hoosiers in their last game. And Annabelle Sherman, she leads the Big West in saves at 158. But the offense is just not producing goals. So it's just a struggle. A lot of the load is on Sherman. And unfortunately, with the Big West, very loaded offenses, the struggling kind of makes sense. Hopefully they can kind of turn it around and salvage the season, or at least make a decent run here as we kind of approach the middle half of the season.
For sure, and with their offense struggling, you realize that it's a couple freshmen as well that are having to step up. You have M. Dube-McLeod, who has 32 goals and 19 assists. Those 32 goals are second on the team. You have Elise Bliss with 20 goals and 10 assists, and they're the second and third leading scorers behind Destiny Hernandez, a senior, who has been doing her thing at Cal State Fullerton for quite a while now. But at the same time, that lack of experience could also be translating into some of these losses, though they have been playing some pretty good teams. They're on a 6-game losing streak right now, and 4 of those teams are against ranked teams. You have 17 Indiana, number 11 UCSD, number 7 Long Beach, and number 13 UC Irvine. So they're playing some pretty tough competition, and obviously that may be what they need to further themselves going forward. But at the same time, it is pretty rough right now.
Yeah, and this is an interesting thing because women's water polo especially is a growing sport. It's not a program that started when we were freshmen here. It just now started to get underway basically the same amount of time we've been here as students. And there actually are only, I believe, we can double check this later, but I got 36 D1 women water polo schools in the entire nation. 18 of them happen to be in California. So it kind of makes sense that they're playing a lot of these ranked opponents. But every team in the Big West happens to be ranked, and it's just unfortunate because they've lost 6 straight and they've been held under 10 goals in their last 5 games. They've been getting outscored in the first period 45-73. So, it's just getting off to a slow start is never how you want to start a match. But at least they have, and you mentioned McLeod, you mentioned Hernandez. They at least have Sherman, who their keeper, who's first in the Big West in saves with 158. So she's at least keeping them in the game. So there is a lot to look forward to with this young program.
Yeah, I think as you guys said, it has been a tough season so far, but hopefully they can use some of these bright spots like Hernandez and Sherman and keep that going and get some wins for the rest of the season.
In other Cal State Fullerton sports, junior Abel Jordan competed in the NCAA Indoor Championship in Virginia Beach for the men's 60-meter hurdles. While jumping over his second hurdle, his back foot clipped the hurdle, which stalled his momentum. He crossed the finish line with a time of 7.69, finishing in 13th place. Though he wasn't able to improve upon his qualifying time, it was still a good finish to a great season for Jordan. Looking towards the women's tennis team, they encountered another canceled game due to weather conditions. The Titans' match against George Washington University on March 12th was unfortunately canceled due to the rain making match play impossible. This makes it the 3rd time this season that Mother Nature has interfered with women's tennis. For the same reason, the Titans' match against Point Loma Nazarene University that was scheduled for Friday, March 14th, has also been postponed until further notice. Guys, the women's tennis team, they had their first Big West opener, home opener yesterday. Unfortunately, lost 4-3 to Hawaii.
Yeah, that was a tough loss against Hawaii. It was a very close match, but hopefully they can use that. And Hawaii is one of the best teams in the Big West, so having a close match against them hopefully can give us some hope going forward into Big West play.
Yep. And then obviously we mentioned for the tennis team, you mentioned, Jonathan, that they're going to be playing Drake University next. That'll be their next opponent. So they've had some tough losses this season, but they have been very competitive in those losses. And hopefully for Drake University, they realize that they're not like us. All right, that about wraps up everything we have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Titan Sports.